All right. Good morning, everyone. All right. So it's cold out, and I am your hype man for this morning, so I will try it again. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Today is a day to celebrate, and I'm here to help you celebrate. There's a lot of people I'm going to introduce you to, and so we'll bring them up throughout. I'll try to keep my remarks brief at the beginning, but we're here today to celebrate the fact that Denver has delivered a 64% reduction in street homelessness. And now, for nearly the first time in 10 years, we've delivered a reduction in overall homelessness as well. And it's not a small one, it's 12.5%. And so we're really excited about that today. Thank you. Yeah, I told you I was the hype man, so let's get it going. All right, so today our message is quite simple, really. We're here to say that together we are reducing homelessness in Denver. We're here to say that our policies, programs, strategies, and investments are working. We're here to acknowledge that our work is not yet done, but that we, all of us up here and all of us in the crowd and the community, are here and committed to continue tackling this work together. And we're also here to say thank you to a lot of people. And so I'm going to bring up a man who wants to say thank you to a lot of people. This is a man who had the courage to believe that ending street homelessness is possible. And so I'm pleased to introduce Mayor Mike Johnston.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I will tell you, I have stood on this block a number of times in the last 3 years under very different circumstances. I remember almost 3 years ago being here talking to employees at the Colorado Trust, one of our oldest and most iconic philanthropies, who could not get in and out of their building. They were afraid to get in and out of their building because their entire business was lined with encampments. I remember being here just a block down when we had to close an encampment that was rat infested, and I came to visit the encampment here to find the same 3 folks I had seen at the previous encampment who were just being moved from block to block, place to place. I remember being back here the night after we had a young man who was shot in a tent trying to protect his own sister, a young man who'd played basketball in high school against one of my staff members. Those were the reminders of the places we were stuck and the places we wanted to get out of. Today we are here under very different circumstances. Today we are here to announce that the efforts that we are undertaking are working. Today we're here to announce that the federal point-in-time count that was just released will show that Denver has dropped street homelessness by 64% over the last 3 years, which is the largest drop in street homelessness of any city in American history. But that's not all. It shows that we have moved 8,500 people off of the streets and into shelter and housing. It shows that we've moved almost 7,700 people into permanent housing. And it's not just historic progress in reductions of street homelessness. This year's results show historic reductions in homelessness in every major category. That means overall we see 30% fewer people entering homelessness in the first place. Our efforts at prevention are working. We see 30% fewer people that were chronically homeless returning to homelessness. Our long-term efforts on case management are working. We've seen historic drops in youth experiencing homelessness. 57% fewer youth that are living on the streets, almost 30% fewer that are living in shelter. This is the 3rd major year of major declines, and Denver is now on track to meet an ambitious goal to try to reduce street homelessness by 75% by 2027. A goal that once seemed like a fantasy. The idea that we could end the cycle of street homelessness in Denver now feels like a very real possibility. That means we have fewer people entering homelessness. We have people who are entering homelessness that are getting off the streets and into shelter quickly. It means we're getting them the services they need in transitional housing and shelter. It means fewer people are returning to homelessness, and most importantly, it means they are moving to permanent housing and staying housed. Oftentimes when I talk about this effort, people say, gosh, that's great. Tell me how this works. How is it that Denver is doing this? What I think is more important than how Denver is doing this is who is doing this. And so what we want to use a few minutes today is to tell the story and have you hear from the people that are leading this effort in all parts of the city. It's nonprofit leaders, it's faith leaders, it's city employees, it's individuals with the will to fight to make something possible for their family no one thought was possible. And I want to say a minute about those remarkable individuals. And I want to walk you through the 6 steps of this system we've worked so hard to make simple and the people who've made that success possible. Step 1 starts with a call from a neighbor. It starts with someone who sees someone and worries about them and reaches out to offer them services. That means a call into our 311 system or our 911 system. We want to thank all of our dispatch folks who work at 311 and 911 who send people that need them out to those locations. We want to thank our neighborhood partners, our JIDs and our BIDs, our business improvement districts, who have come together to say we want to help support all the folks in our neighborhood who have needs. That means folks like our Ballpark JID from Kate McKenna, our Broadway JID, our Rhino JID, our Downtown Denver Business Improvement District, East Colfax, and so many registered neighborhood organizations who have citizens who are every day looking for folks in need and connecting them to services. It means folks like our technology services team, Suma Nalapati and Laura Dunwoody, who found the way to make it simple where it was impossible for it to not matter if you call 311 or 911, we will get the right call to the right service provider out to the right person. Step 2 is send the right outreach. What happens after we get that call is we determine who is the right person or the right partner to respond to this person in need. And that means that we're sending outreach workers. It could be from our housing team, from our public health team, to go and find folks and connect them to the services they need. People like Corey Branch from our team, Ralph Gashler, Chris Richardson, Jamie Lucero, Jody Marzozas, Tabitha Shackleton, leaders like Aaron Atencio, who are every day connecting the services we have to the people in need. Step 3, once we get to those folks, how do we get those people indoors? And that means connecting them to our incredible group of service providers who are there to greet people and welcome them and support them in our congregate shelters and our non-congregate shelters and our all-in sites all across the city. That means folks like Bayad, who was our first micro-community opened in Peoria Street in 2023. It's incredible organizations and partners like Urban Alchemy, like the Colorado Village Collaborative, the Salvation Army, St. Francis Center, the Gathering Place, the Dolores Project, Denver Rescue Mission, Catholic Charities, Urban Peak. All of these folks are the partners that make sure we get folks off the street and indoors. Once we get people indoors, the key is how do we then connect them to services and to jobs? And for that, we have deep gratitude to our partners at Colorado Coalition for the Homeless, our partners at Denver Health, who make sure folks get every sort of physical health treatment they need, any dental care, and yes, any mental health or behavioral health services in all of our sites. It means our partners at our Economic Development Office at DIDO, team members like Brett Walker and Emily Berger and Tamika Simmons, who are helping people find their job opportunities, get them the skills they need, the services, and a path to get employed and back up on their feet. And finally, step 5, it means actually connecting people to permanent housing. Once we've gotten them stable, we've gotten them services, the goal is to get them their own apartment with their own lease and their own key. And those are our incredible partners at Housing Connector, Community Economic Defense Project, Colorado Coalition for the Homeless, who are the ones working with those folks, getting them placed, and helping manage their success throughout the journey. And finally, step 6. It is keeping the city safe and clean. It is because of our partners at Public Health who are out checking on people to make sure the neighborhoods and the streets are safe. It is our ambassador partners, all the folks that are out making streets feel safe, talking to people who need help. That's our friends from the Denver Dream Center who are here today, Block by Block, Urban Alchemy. It's our incredible Denver Parks team who are often the first ones to find someone who might need support. They are the ones making sure that first interaction is positive and successful. It's our general services team who helps upkeep all of our city facilities, Matt Van Dusen and his team. It's our team at Transportation and Infrastructure who are out making sure every street that once had an encampment or someone who is struggling now is clean and open for anyone to walk their kid down or to sit and have a cup of coffee on. That is the effort that it takes to get here. But in addition to that, it has also taken a legacy of courageous leaders. It took the bold leadership of my predecessor, Michael Hancock, to have the vision to create the Housing and Stability Team. It took incredible leaders who have founded and led that organization from its infancy to its success now. That includes incredible folks like Britta Fisher, who you'll hear from today, who was our first leader of Host, Laura Brzezinski, who was an incredible leader here, Sue Powers, who stepped in to help lead this effort, Jamie Reif, who did a fantastic job leading this organization, of course, Molly Urbina from our team, Jeff Kaczynski, and our new Host leader, Cole Chandler. All of these folks committed to making this possible. None of this would have been possible without a deep and enduring partnership with City Council. You're going to hear from Councilman Hines, who's been an incredible leader on this effort and is here in his district to preside over the transformation that he's delivered. But former President Torres was an incredibly courageous leader at the moment we had to move courageously and quickly. President Sandoval has been a fantastic partner. And in addition to Councilman Hines, many members like Councilwoman Romero Campbell, Councilwoman Lewis, Councilman Watson, all of whom had partnerships in their district, worked with partners and individuals in their district to make this possible. Without their effort and leadership, none of this would have happened. It's our great regional partners like Jason Johnson from MDHI, who's done a fantastic job ensuring that all of our partners across the region, not just in Denver, are stepping up to the plate to bring forward solutions that work for all of us. I wanted to share that because we will spend a lot of time celebrating these results. The important thing is to spend the time celebrating the people who have been working thousands and thousands of hours over these last 3 years to make every single one of these results possible. They are there with someone on their single worst day when they don't want help and they're angry and upset and frustrated. They are there on their best day to celebrate them. They are there on the days they don't believe anymore in themselves to say, I still believe in you. It is untold numbers of acts of human courage and human kindness that deliver outcomes like this, and I want us never to forget that. And so I want to spend some time now letting you hear from those partners themselves, the ones who are leading this work, delivering these results, the people who should make you very proud to call yourself a resident of Denver on a day like today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mayor. And so next we're going to bring up Councilman Chris Hines, but just to say a couple words about Councilman Hines. So we're in his district today, and so wanted to be able to celebrate with him. But Councilman Hines has been a leader on this issue. My work with him began when we had 2 safe outdoor spaces launch just a few blocks from here during COVID. Councilman Hines also sponsored the legislation that brought forward the temporary managed communities that allows for micro communities in our city. So he's someone that's helped build the infrastructure that we stand on today. So thank you, Councilman Hines. Please come on up.
Good morning, Denver. Good morning. Hey, this microphone works. Let's see if my wheelchair works too. Instead of being swallowed by the microphone, I might as well get above the podium. My name is Chris Hines. I serve on Denver City Council representing District 10. I think that's particularly important today because if you're not sure where District 10 is, well, you're in it. It is the Center City District. It is the district that, when I took office in 2019, had 4 major encampments of at least 100 tents each. And so a lot of unsheltered homelessness right here in our Center City. And every few months we would take those tents and move them a block or 2 away from where they were. And so we would just kind of push the pain, push the problem around, as opposed to actually addressing the root cause. There's a bit of a risk when you're not first in the order, and that the mayor took a lot of what I wanted to say, and then Cole took a little bit of what else I wanted to say. So thanks. I think it's very important that District 10, when I took office, we leaned into our unsheltered neighbors. I know that it was a bit of a risk for me to say that everyone who lives inside of District 10 is a constituent. Why is that a risk? Because our unhoused also live inside District 10, and they are also constituents. That was a risky comment for me to make with some of my other constituents, but it is the right thing to do. And here in Denver, we care about our values, and we care about doing the right thing. So as Cole had mentioned, one of the things that I did once I took office is leaned into other options. As opposed to just moving tents around, how can we create a shelter for those who are dealing with unsheltered homelessness. So the first 2 safe outdoor space sites in Denver were both in District 10, 14th and Pearl, 14th and Grant, and 16th and Pearl. So just a few blocks from one another. Cole actually managed one of those 2 sites, and so I got to meet with him and work with him and hear his knowledge and commitment to giving dignity for those who, as I mentioned before, some of my other constituents weren't willing to provide that same level of dignity. So, Cole, thank you for your work before in my first term, and then we'll hear more now that you are the head of housing stability. So, speaking of housing stability, that was something that was created in my first term in office, and I think it's important for us to talk about the 3 pillars of housing stability. First, we want to make sure that people who are on the street get access to shelter and ultimately housing. So Denver cares about a housing first model. Housing first doesn't mean just housing, it means housing with supportive services. But that's something that we've really been working on, particularly with housing stability. And so we want to make sure that people who are on the street have access to shelter and ultimately housing. But there are 2 other pillars that have to be to work on in conjunction with that. First, those who are under threat of being unhoused, they should also get the supports and services. So if someone is $100 short on their rent and they will be unhoused if not making their rent, it's way better for us as a city financially and frankly for dignity, because again, these are constituents, is way better for us to make that rent whole for that 1 month than to have someone become unhoused and then have to worry about getting a couch and a TV and a bed and all sorts of basic things that you need when you're in housing. So that's pillar 2. And then pillar 3, we want to make sure that we have access to affordable housing here in our city. We have access to workforce housing in our city. And we have access to housing for those who need additional supports and services. So also something in my first term, just 3 blocks south of us is a building that was complete at 13th and Sherman that is 100% affordable housing. And that's something else that we've been leaning into as a city, but particularly in District 10. So 4 years later, when I got reelected to my second term, we had a new mayor. And this guy. And I want to really thank him for his vision and his leadership and his willingness to say, we need to do more. Just as we leaned into safe outdoor space sites, we also, with our new mayor, he had the vision of let's get unsheltered homelessness out of our city. And that's not meant to be a negative thing. That kind of makes it sound negative. Let's make sure that everyone we all should have dignity. We all need shelter. And so let's make sure that everyone in our city has dignity and shelter. And so purchasing hotels and making sure that everyone has access to shelter is something that our mayor focused on. City council supported. But it was actually this mayor who had the vision to say this is the path we should take. And so there was a state of emergency that was declared. We ended up purchasing multiple hotels to create shelter space. And all of that was accomplished just in the first 7 months of this mayor's first term. And so we see the arc of at least me in 2019 when I was elected, lots of unsheltered, unhoused. Then we started leaning into other options that we saw from other cities like safe outdoor space sites. And then with this mayor and in this term, we are really transforming our city so that we can have people with shelter, supportive services, and frankly, dignity. And so we see it. We see the results. We see that street homelessness is down 64% since 2023. And that's what we want. That's what we need. And we want, frankly, more of it. So thank you, Mayor, for that leadership. We can't, as a city, do it all ourselves. Some people, we need assistance. Sometimes it's because the city can't do everything. Sometimes it's because people have been let down by government, and we need someone who isn't government to perform outreach to make sure that everyone in our community has that outreach, who they realize that they have an opportunity to have shelter and housing, and that's something we wanted to really lean into. So one of those partners is Urban Alchemy. So I don't know, Cole, do you want me to just hand straight over? Oh, okay. Well, so we may have someone come up, a nonprofit partner, whoever that might be. But I'm really excited that we have nonprofit partners to help us as a city make sure that everyone achieves that dignity that we all should have. So thank you so much.
So yeah, there will be lots of word theft happening today, obviously, because there's many of us that are excited to chat. I'll say this: when we prepared to bring 1,200 beds online in 7 months, we knew that it was going to take some extra support from our service providers and extra capacity. I got to meet Urban Alchemy when we were on the transition to coming into the Johnston administration, and I was just blown away by their philosophy of service. And no one exemplifies that better than Tyler Thompson. And so, Tyler, would love for you to come up and just share about the work that you all do, but also, in particular, the work that happens and the culture that you build and the lives that it transforms inside of shelters. So thanks, Tyler.
Wow. I'm Tyler Thompson. I'm a practitioner with Urban Alchemy. Current role as the Director of Operations. Wow. Thank you, Mayor Mike Johnson. Thank you, Councilmember Hines. Thank you, the City of Denver. We feel honored just to be in this space. We feel honored to be in a place where a community is coming together with one common goal, and that we truly believe that we can solve homelessness. That's what we're all about. A lot of our practitioners at Urban Alchemy experience homelessness and justice impacted, so we understand firsthand what our guests are going through. I'm going to talk a little bit about just what's happening here in Denver. We operate the non-congregate shelter, the Aspen. The beautiful thing about it, I wish I can give you guys this magical word of what we do. You guys gonna hate me for this? We just love on people. We love on people. And love comes in all different ways. When an individual's coming from the streets, we look at them through our trauma-informed lens. They may have a couple months on the streets or years. First thing when they come in, I always tell our practitioners to address them by their first name. Most beautiful word an individual can hear. Address them by their first name. Then we also, through love, we love them in every single aspect. We create a place of safety. Then we guide our guests to get connected to resources. Once they get connected to resources, then we're able to start seeing the magic happen that everyone likes to see. Then from there, we always remind them that we're going to be there every step of the way. And so once we get there, then we work on the other little aspects of what we're doing. Financial situations, workforce development. Let's make sure that we handle the main cause of what got us into this position. The beautiful thing is that I wish that we had just a magic recipe and a one size that fits all, but it doesn't work like that. Here at just Urban Alchemy, man, we're here just to continue just to love people all the way, not only to permanent housing, but to long-term stability. You're gonna hear from one of our guests. It doesn't just stop when you just come to the congregate shelter. We're gonna be there every step of the day. Naisha knows she can call me or anyone at Urban Alchemy any time of the day, and we're gonna be there. But that's what it takes. That's what it takes to help our most vulnerable community, our population, transition and get that long-term stability. That's what helped me. So from the bottom of my heart, I just want to make sure that I give shout out to Denver, give shout out to our practitioners, because we are working days and night, 25/8, we like to say, not 24/7. It's tough work, but I'm gonna use your word, Mike. Sorry. Yeah, I got to. I don't have to work. I get to work, and I get to love on people every single day. So it doesn't feel like work for me. So it doesn't feel like work when I get a call at 2 a.m. in the morning. Hey, Tyler, something's happening. Okay, let's go and handle the situation. because the overall objective for us is just to love on people and give that people, our people, the opportunity to strive. So I just want to thank you guys again. Thank you guys for everything that you guys are doing. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of this success, man. It's amazing, these numbers. But like what Mayor Mike Johnson said, it's deeper than the numbers, it's about the people. And we are truly, truly, truly transforming lives in a positive way. So thank you.
Hello, I am Naisha Murray. I am one of the Urban Alchemy residents. I got there when it was the Salvation Army. It wasn't the Urban Alchemy then. And when we got there, we weren't supposed to be there for like 2 days. And the people were like, hey, we can get you in today. I was like, oh, okay, well, thanks. So we got in there. Next thing we know, we left, went for Christmas, and I came back and Urban Alchemy was there, and they were like, well, somebody will let you in your room. I'm like, did I do something wrong? I was like, no, what's going on? But, we didn't know what was going on because we had left before Urban Alchemy got there. Long story short, man, it was a lot going on. And the people were complaining, and I was looking like I was complaining with them. And I'm like, hey, man, y'all done took our keys. I don't appreciate none of this. Like, what's going on? But at the end of the day, I was able to get people to stop talking about the keys. Like, I was telling me, there's nothing we can do about it. This is a different company. Urban Alchemy was the best thing that ever happened to that shelter. I mean, the rate of, overdosing went all the way down. Like, all the way down. When I say there was so many people that kept complaining, I just want to say, thank you, because without y'all, we would not be the way that we are right now. I literally was only there for 9 months, and Urban Alchemy got me up out of there, and I appreciate them to the fullest. When I wanted to do a program, Tyler, Mike, and, Carrie, they were all like, hey, go for it. And I was like, wait, I can do it? Like, so they let me do a clothing bank there. I literally did a journaling class there. I helped the residents. I got TVs for people that didn't have TVs, and it was because of Urban Alchemy. If it wouldn't have been for them, they showed me some structure while I was there also, because me and my husband, we were homeless for a while, and without them, we would not have gotten, I wouldn't be able to go get my grandkids. They're running around here somewhere. But, and I have to shout out to my man and Michael, because he brought me out of my shyness. I was really depressed and I was really down, and he had the karaoke, and I can sing, but I was just like, yeah, okay. But it was just a lot of things that Urban Alchemy gave us that we are just very, very thankful for. I was able, again, I'm gonna say, to go get my grandbabies and have them come and spend some time with me. And I'm sorry for crying, but I love Urban Alchemy. I love you guys. Without you guys, I would have been, I don't know, They have taught me a whole lot. They taught me how to just literally just be myself. They let me be myself. The clothing bank was the best thing that I did, that they gave me, because I was able to give residents clothes who didn't have clothes for years, that they had been there. One man only had one outfit. And when Urban Alchemy let me get that clothing bank together, he was able to get 4 or 5 outfits. And it was just a blessing, because they supported anything that I wanted to do. It didn't matter. If I wanted to have a jump-a-thon, they probably would have been like, hey, give it to her, let her go ahead and do it. But it was, hey, Tyler, I want to tell you thank you, because you were the one that was able to just give her whatever she needs. Carrie, Mike, Michael, I love each and every one of y'all. Liz, Courtney, when it was time for me to leave, they humped y'all. I mean, like, they got us up out of there. Do you understand me? Like, they got us up out. I give them all the credit in the world. And I just want to tell y'all, thank you so much. Thank you. Tyler, man, thank you.
Beautiful. So that's exactly why we're here. We're here to celebrate and laugh and cry together. And our work to continue keeping neighborhoods safe is not done, but it's something that we're committed to doing together. And so I want to bring up Kate McKenna from the Ballpark neighborhood to talk about the collaboration that we have with one another. So thank you, Kate.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Cole and Mayor Johnston. And thank you so much for your beautiful testimony. My name is Kate McKenna, and I'm a proud resident and representative of the Ballpark neighborhood. I serve as the executive director for the new General Improvement District and oversee the Street Ambassador program block by block. Ballpark is a complex community. We're one with a deep history and a unique identity and diverse populations, including some of Denver's most vulnerable. And yet Ballpark is so much more than the Mission District, as it's often called. Ballpark represents the true spirit of Denver. It's one of collaboration and one of resilience. It's the neighborhood that rolls up its sleeves to help those that are in need, and it's home to the largest concentration of social service providers in the city, 1/3 of our 42-block neighborhood. And yet Ballpark stands here today as proof that despite adversity and disinvestment, progress is possible when communities come together and go all in. In Ballpark, all in is not a campaign phrase. It's a call to action and one that we, the residents, are answering. It's an example of what collective care and the organized efforts of a neighborhood can do to improve the lives of others. We believe that community is the conduit to change, and today the Ballpark is proud to stand here in partnership with the City of Denver to acknowledge that together, when we're all in, progress is possible. We look forward to continuing our work alongside Cole, the mayor, Councilperson Watson, and all of our city agencies to further supplement the help that both from and for our communities we've been able to do. We're also asking you to do the same, to get involved, to advocate for more resources for your local organizations, to support your collective community, and to go all in to help those who are still in need. Because we know that nobody should go houseless when they call Denver their home. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kate. So we are reducing homelessness in Denver, and homelessness is being reduced across the region as well. That work is being led by MDHI, our regional partner and leader of the Continuum of Care. But I think one thing to note is that this progress is at risk. It's at risk by a federal government that has talked about defunding continuums of care and defunding permanent supportive housing. And so we know what works. We know what works to deliver results in our community. And I'm grateful to Jason Johnson for his leadership and want to bring him up to talk about his part in this puzzle. So thank you.
Great, thank you, Cole. Good to be here. My name is Jason Johnson, and I serve as Executive Director of the Metro Denver Homeless Initiative, or MDHI. Our role, as Cole mentioned, is to serve as lead agency for the HUD-designated Continuum of Care for the 7-county Metro Denver region. MDHI is responsible for conducting the point-in-time count each year in partnership with local communities, and it is also our responsibility to publish those results, which we did this morning. This week, we also released the 2025 data through the Colorado State of Homelessness Report. This report combines HMIS data, or Homeless Management Information System data, point-in-time census data, and other sources to show a full picture of what homelessness looks like across the state of Colorado. Both reports highlight a reduction in the number of people experiencing homelessness across the Metro Denver region. The point-in-time data released today shows an 8% decline in across the Metro Denver region. The point-in-time data shows a reduction in homelessness throughout the region, due in large part to the efforts taking place right here in the city and county of Denver, where the data highlights a 34% reduction in the number of people living unsheltered since last year. The annual point-in-time count report reinforces that the city and county of Denver, when we lead with heart and hard work, lining up housing, matching people with the right supports, and moving with coordination, speed, and care, we can make real headway in addressing homelessness. I also have some gratitude and want to share that today. First, Mayor Johnston, thank you. Thank you for your consistent prioritization of the city's unhoused. The political will that you've offered over the past 3 years is exactly the type of leadership that is needed to address the crisis of homelessness in this city. Cole and the host team, Thank you so much for continuing to act swiftly, to act creatively, to resource what is needed in this community, and to do so with the value of learning and being able to make quick pivots. And to Britta, as chair of the HLC, and all the providers who work in the city and county of Denver, deep appreciation. You're doing the work every day to solve the experience of homelessness for each person who walks through your door. Denver is leading the way with increased investment and involvement in housing, prevention, outreach, and the coordination of services, but also with the political and community will to support people who need help. Just want to highlight, again, the Metro Denver Homeless Initiative. We serve the 7-county metro region, and the point-in-time reduction in big thanks and is to this collaboration of many different program types that are happening across the region. In Jefferson County, we're seeing deeper coordination of winter response shelter, bringing more beds online during winter months. In Boulder, they're bringing on affordable housing units. In Arapahoe County, they're really leaning into workforce and system navigation. In Adams County, they're focused on prevention and reducing the inflow of people who are experiencing homelessness across the region. In Douglas, they're standing up multidisciplinary outreach teams. In Broomfield, they have a strong focus on housing affordability. And in Aurora, they opened a navigation campus, which brought hundreds of new shelter and transitional units into the system. At MDHI, we believe that homelessness is solvable. The data we released today proves that it's not just possible, but that we're doing it. These regional efforts are showing their impact. This is not an issue with a defined finish line, but one that takes ongoing, consistent effort from all of us. There's much more to do, but I see your commitment. Denver, we all see the commitment you're making, and we see today the results. The data shows that we've turned the curve, helping thousands of people move off the streets and into housing. Thanks for letting me be a part of this morning's celebration. Congratulations again. Let's keep the momentum going.
My name is Valentina Ortiz, and I'm here representing The Gathering Place. I was a resident of Elati Village for about 9 months. After years of living with my mother and sisters and on and off again on the streets, I didn't think a place of my own was ever in my future. I faced housing instability after being diagnosed with bipolar disorder. My disability checks were insufficient for rent and living expenses. Conflicts with my family led me with a duffel bag and a suitcase on the street, trying to get a bed at Samaritan House right here in the city. As a transgendered male, I was nervous and very afraid. I don't know if it was God, the universe, or being at the right place at the right time. I got linked with all of the right people for support and help. I'm lucky, as I stayed in the shelter for just a week. It was a very hard, long week, with the stares and whispers and not knowing if something was going to escalate at the shelter because I'm a trans male. But I'm one of the lucky ones. I got word that I got placement at Elati Village. People ask me, what makes Elati so special? It's a place that gives you freedom and protection at the same time. You never have to worry about where your next meal is going to come from. You have a beautiful tiny home to call your own. You can take hot showers, you can cook your own meals, and do laundry too. My favorite part was meeting others, building community, and I gained brothers and sisters, not just friends. The staff, which to me were more like guardian angels, took us under their wing and provided us with exceptional, overwhelming support, overwhelming love, and overwhelming acceptance. My favorite times at Elati were arts and crafts days, movie nights, barbecues, and staying up late, just sharing our life stories. The staff became like family. I felt accepted, safe, and included every single day. I lived at Elati Village for 9 months before gaining permanent housing, and what I know now is that I needed that time. I needed Elati as a stepping stone to gain back my own personal independence, to be able to be on my own again. Thanks to the Gathering Place at Elati, I have a beautiful place to call home now, in the Westminster part of Denver, and I wake up every day and I don't take that for granted. The message I want to transcend today is that micro-communities like Elati are special, needed, and are changing lives every single day. I will continue to share my story for the sake of myself, my Eladi brothers and sisters, Eladi staff, and Heather Beck. This one is for us. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart.
All right. Dr. Sarah Stella has long been an advocate for people's health, leading our efforts during COVID response and long after. And so I wanted to bring Dr. Stella up to talk about the work that we're doing to protect people's health as a part of this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you to Mayor Johnston and to Cole and to all of our partners here today. And I just want to say the stories that you've shared are the stories that keep me going in this work, and that is what is meaningful and important to me. My name is Dr. Sarah Stella. I am an internal medicine physician at Denver Health, where I practiced for nearly the last 2 decades inpatient medicine. And I am the director of our Housing Outreach Partnerships and Engagement Program, or HOPE. And it is not an accident that I named our program HOPE, because this work really brings me a lot of hope and carries me in what I do. As a physician, I provide evidence-based care, and the evidence is very clear. Access to support-based housing is a game changer. It improves health outcomes, and in addition to effectively ending homelessness. And it brings down the cost of high-cost care, such as emergency department visits and hospitalizations. And today is a powerful reminder that when we work together and when we follow the evidence, results will follow. And we in healthcare are really inspired by the work of our city and our partners, and we're very proud to be a part of it. As a hospitalist for nearly the last 2 decades, I've seen the hopelessness and devastation that homelessness can bring. And I've also seen what happens when we commit to working together. Thank you. Thank you. I've also seen what happens when we work together across organizations, systems, and sectors to achieve the best possible outcomes for our patients by linking them to housing, recuperative care, and other supports. We've seen this work, not only is this work life-saving, it is humane, and it is also cost-effective. So we've seen reductions in our hospital length of stay as a result of all of these collective efforts. In the last year, we've seen a reduction of almost 1 day of our length of stay for this community. While we celebrate today's undeniable successes, we also understand that we have much more work to do, and we must not lose sight of those challenges. People experiencing homelessness face unprecedented threats to their health and well-being. And over half of folks experiencing homelessness in Colorado report a serious disabling health condition. And that certainly is what I see inside the hospital walls. These conditions make it much more difficult for them to access both housing and health care as services are as they're traditionally delivered. And I've watched this rise in medical complexity and acuity play out in the hospital over the last decade, especially, where one in 5 of my patients is experiencing homelessness and highly vulnerable. Coinciding with this are the unprecedented threats to Medicaid and other vital safety nets on which my patients rely. Effectively responding to these evolving needs will require us to be creative and to continue to work together in new ways. It will require intentional coordination at all levels of government, continuums of care, and housing and health partners, as well as philanthropists, advocates, and community members. But today, I have hope because I know that our city and this community is up to the challenge. Thank you.
beautiful. Thank you. So Mayor Johnston mentioned this earlier, but work and progress is passed across administrations. And so one of the things that we wanted to do today was to acknowledge some of the great work that happened during the Hancock administration that set us up for this moment to be able to celebrate the progress that we're making today. And so just a few things I want to highlight is that in 2019, the Department of Housing Stability was created under Britta's leadership. In 2020, Denver voters approved the Homelessness Resolution Fund that provides basically the opportunity for us to fund the services that we're talking about. And then one other key piece that under Britta's leadership was set up was a large allotment of ARPA dollars that were ready for us to deploy in this way when we came in. And so obviously, thank you to Britta and the Hancock administration for that. But now Britta leads the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless, and wanted to bring her up to talk about their efforts to help us reduce unsheltered homelessness and homelessness overall. So thank you.
Thanks, Cole, and hello, I'm Britta Fisher. I am the president and CEO of the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless. If you don't know the coalition, we are a healthcare and housing organization, a 42-year-old nonprofit that has been dedicated to creating lasting solutions to homelessness across Colorado. Last year, we served nearly 20,000 people. So I want to thank Mayor Johnston on this beautiful day in Denver for all of his leadership and building on the work that Cole talked about. It takes a lot of partnership here in the city of Denver, and we have made this significant progress in moving people off the streets and into safety, which has undoubtedly improved lives and made our community stronger. We have been proud at the coalition to work alongside the city of Denver and our partners to assist people living in large encampments to indoor locations and bringing healthcare services to those at all-in mile-high locations. I also want to thank our partners at Metro Denver Homeless Initiative and Jason, who spoke before, for their leadership on the State of Homelessness report. It is important that we take time to celebrate progress we've made and also continue to our work to resolve homelessness together. This progress that we're sharing today is made possible through partnerships, commitment to innovation, but it's also built upon a lot of hard work and a lot of collaboration. I see in this audience today many people that I have been in many meetings with as we work together to make sure our system is strong. Here in Denver, as Cole mentioned, the Homelessness Resolution Fund was passed in 2020, generating $40 million annually. And in 2021, general obligation bonds were generated for funding a family shelter and also a youth shelter and transitional housing facilities. So thank you to all of our Denver voters for supporting this work and funding it. It takes resources. We also want to thank our Denver City Council, who's passed an affordable housing fund in 2016 and then expanded it. Through Denver's support, it's been increased substantially, including through the passage of an expanding housing affordability policy, which updated the linkage fee revenue and incentivized the construction of affordable housing throughout Denver. So thank you, City Council. In the midst of this was also COVID, and that demonstrated to everyone that health and homes are linked. The coalition was contracted by the city to lease and provide services in hotels to protect our community's most vulnerable. This included protective action rooms to safely isolate those at severe risk from COVID based on their age and disabling conditions, as well as those who are currently suffering from COVID symptoms who would have otherwise stayed in congregate locations. These critical programs were the forerunner to the coalition's John Parvinsky Recuperative Care Center that provides safe recovery and housing to people experiencing homelessness who are being discharged from the hospital and still need ongoing medical care. I want to thank Mayor Johnston for embracing the non-congregate shelter model and the city's and state's investment of ARPA dollars to secure additional sites that could be used for immediate shelter as well as for long-term affordable housing. This includes a property of the coalition's, which is Renewal Village, a conversion of a hotel to now on 134 leasable homes and 81 units of transitional housing, all with supportive services on site and provided assertively. This includes employment services, where one of our clients, who is also a veteran, recently landed a job earning $960 a week in his area of preferred career. And what we have seen is that this drastically has improved his mental health and been a key factor in his stability. With our ongoing behavioral health and case management, he is looking forward to a smooth transition. Since COVID, we have seen local governments across Colorado rise to the call of their communities to serve our unhoused neighbors. Through partnership, expertise, and resources, we can sustain those efforts to ensure all Coloradans have a safe and healthy environment in which to live. Sage Ridge Community is in unincorporated Arapahoe County and has expanded our ability to provide supportive recovery community here in Colorado. It's where people who have experienced homelessness and have designed and desired to address their substance use disorders in a peer-supported recovery campus. This work builds upon 13 years of this work in Bent County, where we have the Fort Lyon campus. Sage Ridge and Fort Lyon both represent adaptive reuse of state property and now meeting some of our most pressing needs across our state to address substance use disorder and support people on their recovery journeys. Lastly, I want to acknowledge the many advocates that I see here today and our advocacy work, which led to the protection of the homeless contribution tax credit this legislative season, as well as a bill to encourage partnership with the state of Colorado to develop and implement a statewide strategy on homelessness prevention and resolution. So as you've heard from the mayor and others today, when we work in partnership and dedicate resources appropriately, we can do amazing things. We can move people into safer places and come alongside them on their path to stability. There's more work to do across our state, and I'm honored to be in this work with you all. Thank you.
Okay, I will close us out. I first started a campaign for mayor a little more than 3 years ago on two ideas of truth and hope. The idea is that if you have the courage to look at the hard truths right in front of you and the ability to find the hope buried within those truths, you will find that actually all of our hardest problems are solvable and that we are actually the ones to solve them. So I want to share some closing thoughts on the truth and the hope we see today. The truth is our work is not done. In fact, it's far from done. We have 518 people still living on the streets of this city tonight, and that is 518 people too many. But those aren't the only truths. We know we are living in an environment where there are fewer and fewer federal resources to support this work. There are more and more state cuts that impact this work. It is hard economic times for cities and states and for families facing potential economic recession. All of those are real challenges. We know the hard truth is that the folks who are on the streets now are many of our individuals with the most acute needs. There are folks struggling with the deepest versions of addiction or mental health needs, and they will require a different set of supports than some of the folks we've served already. That is also true. We also know it's true we're living in one of the most divided times in American history. We're living in a time where it's become popular and cool to demonize people as opposed to love them. Those are all hard truths. But the hope is that this city has shown that when you pull together, remarkable things are possible. 64% reduction in street homelessness in almost 3 years, on the path to show you could reach a moment in a major American city where no one had to live on the streets. That now feels possible for the first time. And the hope is that we can show that actually you get far more done when people turn to each other than when people turn on each other. That's the Denver lesson. But the hope is to do that, we are going to need your help. What today I hope communicates is that none of this work was done alone. None of it was done by me or just city teams or city employees. It was faith communities. It was nonprofit partners. It was incredible dedication of city employees every day. It was folks who decided to care enough to make a difference, like our neighborhood districts and ballpark. We are going to need all of us and more for this next chapter. So my ask right now is, if you want to help be a part of an effort to change the trajectory of this city, to make history in a way that cities around the country can be inspired by, then we need your help now. We need to decide not to point a finger at someone, but to lend a hand. And there are 3 concrete things we want to ask you to do. One is, we want to ask you to say something if you see someone that is suffering. We have worked so hard to build an easy system where all you have to do is call 311 or 911 and we will take it from there. But it should be, every time you see someone in crisis, it should be a crisis, and know that we have a team to help, so say something. The second is, if you feel so inclined, we want you to give something. If you are someone that wants to give philanthropically, that even if you're a kid like mine that runs lemonade stands to make a difference, support the nonprofits you see up here who do this work every day. Give your money, give your support, be allies to them. And the third part is, yes, say something, give something, but most of all, do something. If you want to be a part of this work, we want your help. You can volunteer at almost any one of these partner organizations. We have launched a website now with the QR code we'll give you. They'll make it very easy for you to find any place close to you where you can help be a part of this historic effort. This is about Denver coming together as a broad community to say we see everyone, we support everyone, and we serve everyone. We have proven that those things that people thought were once impossible are possible, but we cannot stop now. In fact, we have to congratulate each other, give ourselves a pat on the back, and then get ready to get right back to work tomorrow, because the work ahead is even harder and even more important and even more urgent. But most of all, I hope today gives you hope that that work is worth it and it matters. Thank you so much for being here. Sorry, I guess I'm doing questions also. If there are questions people have for me or any of the experts on the panel, happy to take a few before we get you out of the cold. Yes?
Just wondering, how much did Denver spend on homeless initiatives last year?
Last year, in 1 year, in 2025, Cole, what's the budget?
So the cost for overall on all in all has $155 million since it started.
But just for last year, you just want to know 25 alone. It's somewhere around 45 million, but I will get you the exact number. That's not specific, but I will get you the exact number. We can also give you the number over time of the effort over 3 years, which, as Cole said, thanks to Britta and Mayor Hancock, we had a big chunk of ARPA dollars we were able to use to buy the capital assets. So the big investments you saw were buying the hotels and the tiny home villages. Our year-over-year operations costs are now quite stable. Yes?
Mayor, you and Cole both mentioned potential federal reductions. More specific about how much
I think the biggest challenge for us that we're seeing from federal cuts are a reduction in the total number of housing vouchers we can use to get people up and out into permanent housing. And so there have been hundreds of vouchers we've lost over the course of the last couple of years. Cole, do you want to speak more in greater detail to that?
180 last year, and at risk to lose more.
So it's about 180 vouchers we lost last year. That would have been 180 people who could have moved out of one of our non-congregate shelters into permanent housing. Our partners at Denver Housing Authority have been great allies, and we know they're struggling under the same challenge where the federal government will not allow them to release new vouchers. And so some of those policy changes make it harder for us to help people get out of transitional housing into permanent housing. Yes? I'm happy to have Cole talk about the count is almost always done in January, so it's historic that many years we have cold weather shelter activated, so that's a pretty consistent practice all the time in the winter. So I think it is still very much an apple-to-apple comparison, but happy to let Cole speak more about that.
Yeah, I'll speak to some specifics on that. For one, I'll note that today we're celebrating that many data points are pointing to a reduction in overall homelessness, including the State of Homelessness report, which showed an overall reduction across the metro region. So there's several data points that we're celebrating. The point in time count's a one-night snapshot. In terms of looking at cold weather shelter, it was activated this year. It was also activated last year. There were less people in cold weather shelter this year than there were last year. In spite of that, we still had a 34% reduction. Cold weather shelter was also activated in 2023 when we had 1,423 people staying in cold weather shelter. So the point that we're referring back to is 2023, 1,423 people staying outside on a night that cold weather shelter was activated. This year, on a night that cold weather shelter was activated, 518 people stayed outside, less than last year when cold weather shelter was activated with more people staying outside, but happy to follow up with that data.
Yes, Kyle.
The state of homelessness report and the point in time kind of tells two really different stories when it comes to family homelessness and youth homelessness as well. The state report and also looking at a spike in youth homelessness here in Zone. I'm curious kind of how you explain that, and then also the state of homelessness report shows yes, there's a slight decline based on how you slice and dice the numbers and which ones are the plateau. And I'm curious.
Are you talking about the state level data as a comparison, or the metro area? Obviously, there are multiple different data sets. There's Denver specific data, there's metro area data, there's statewide data, and I think we're really focused. Obviously, we're really grateful for the regional collaboration. We're very focused on what we've done specifically in Denver, we think, to drive changes, and I think you do see that data is quite clear, significant, compelling, and consistent now in Denver over the last 3 years. And I think what we saw today is not just a reduction in street homelessness, which has been our focus the last 2 years. And sometimes folks would say, why do we see the sheltered numbers not moving as significantly? And for us, that was part of the early strategy, is to get folks off of the street and into transitional housing or shelter, with the goal to then get them out of that shelter and into permanent housing. What you see this year is the movement in those data that we wanted to see, which is now more and more folks also exiting sheltered homelessness. So the first time you see reductions across all categories. And so for us, that's how we thought the curve would go and how we've seen it go, is dramatic reductions in unsheltered and now steady reductions in sheltered. So that's a success for us. I couldn't speak as much to the regional dynamics. I do know that we have probably a larger and more ambitious and maybe more aggressive set of infrastructure in Denver around those services than other regions have, other places in the region have. But we think that data for us is quite clear. I'm happy to bring up Jason others if you want to ask more regional questions, but I couldn't answer that.
I would love to hear specifically about the family and youth homelessness.
Yeah, thanks. So one of the reasons that we released both the State of Homelessness Report, which is 2025 Homeless Management Information System data, and last year's PIT on the same week as the 2026 point in time data, is that they really need to be looked at together in unison. So one, yes, the statewide and regionally here across the 7-county metro region, we did see an increase last year in families experiencing homelessness, as well as young people under the age of 24 experiencing homelessness. The point in time count is a sort of head count census. It's a snapshot. It is a one-time best effort to count as many folks as possible who are sleeping indoors, easier because we have that data and we have access, and outdoors, much more difficult. And so, you know, as someone who's been in this work for decades, I know that if I was experiencing homelessness with young children, I would be doing everything possible to stay out of sight, to stay safe, and to stay undetected. If I was inside of a shelter, inside of a program, great, happy to engage. But if I'm truly outdoors struggling, I may not be in a position out in the park, out in the open, to be counted. So I think it's really important to use all data sets. Again, as the mayor said, regionally, all data, when we look at the whole, is pointing to a decline. So really proud of that effort and celebrating that today.
And just to clarify, Kyle, obviously we're very proud that in Denver you will see both reductions in family sheltered homelessness and family unsheltered homelessness both. You'll see reduction in youth unsheltered homelessness and youth sheltered homelessness both. And so we think all those indicators are heading in the right direction, and that for us was the reason why Tamarack, the family shelter, was such an important investment to make sure we had that resource.
Just to make sure I understand, is that according to both PIT and
That's according to Pitt. I can only speak for the point-in-time count. Obviously, the broader state of homelessness would be a separate question.
Anybody else?
Sí, hola, ¿cómo estás? Gracias por venir. Sí, por supuesto. Gracias por venir. Hoy es un día muy importante porque hoy anunciamos que tenemos una reducción histórica aquí en Denver con ayudando a gente sin hogar. Ya este año anunciamos que hemos bajado el número de gente viviendo en las calles por 64%, y eso es un día histórico porque también vemos que hay menos familias viviendo en las calles, hay menos jóvenes viviendo en las calles y también hay menos gente viviendo en shelters en varios sitios. Entonces esto es hemos bajado gente sin hogar más que cualquier otra ciudad en el país, y hoy es un día que tenemos mucho orgullo en el trabajo que todos nuestros amigos aquí en la ciudad y todas las organizaciones que nos han ayudado. ¿Perdona? Gracias. Ya tenemos que empezar el próximo piso del trabajo, que todavía tenemos 500 personas que están viviendo en la calle y eso es demasiado todavía. Ya vamos a trabajar juntos de traer esas personas dentro en hogares y vamos a trabajar juntos con esas personas, y también queremos que gente en su casa puede ayudarnos. Hay 3 maneras que puede ayudar. Si ves algo, puedes decirnos lo que ves, puedes llamar a 311 o 911 si hay alguien que necesita ayuda. Si quieres dar dinero a estos non-profits que nos ayuda, por favor hazlo, y también si quieres dar tu tiempo, queremos que puedes servir otros para servir, y tenemos un website que puedes usar por eso. Gracias. Okay, thank you all so much for being here. Please hug all the people on this stage and in this crowd. We're so grateful for their work. Have a great day.